Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's happening here in the greater Concord area. I'm your host, Dick Patten, and it's a pleasure to welcome you back. And the first day of autumn, as we now can go to the apple orchard and pick a few apples, or enjoy football, whether it's college or professional, or now root for the Red Sox to get in the playoffs and not do a double dip. But I'm pleased to have as my guest Matt Mercier here today. And Matt's a young man from the Manchester area, but we met on Facebook there and had quite a talk about things. And so it's nice to meet you, Matt. And what's on your mind today? Anything special?
Thanks, Dick, for having me on the show.
Well, it's a pleasure. I know you're in real estate and all that,
I am.
but
Yeah, I'm a realtor with Keller Williams Metropolitan in Bedford.
yeah.
I sell residential properties from Tilton south down to Nashua.
Wow.
I sell quite a few houses in the Concord area and Manchester and Bedford area. But yeah, the things are going fairly well with that marketplace right now.
So really, a young man like you can really make a good income or career of being a realtor right now? I mean,
I'd say you have to be cut from the right cloth to be able to do it. I think you have to be an individual who's willing to hold yourself accountable as well as jump at the opportunities because they do happen, and also be able to manage your transactions and how things happen. Most realtors or most people perceive that real estate's just selling the property or writing that purchase and sale, but the other half really is getting into the transaction table and talk about community related things. Banks won't loan homes because the home isn't compliant with zoning. Or if there's a in-law suite that's illegal with the property, and it's noted by the appraiser, that can cause an appraisal to fail, and that's really important to pay attention to before you get into purchase and sale and managing it once it happens. So that's what we spend a lot of time focusing on. But yeah, you can a good realtor or a reasonable realtor, above average realtor, can easily sell 2 homes a month. In this marketplace, but the average realtor only sells about 8 homes a year. So
really?
Yep. Well, it's the kind of the 80-20 rule, right? The 20% of the realtors are doing 80% of the production, and vice versa. So I strive to stay a part of that 20%.
So when you were in high school, what made you decide this is what you were going to? Had you decided you were going to go in the real business when you were in 12th grade or whatever? Or college?
Funny you asked that question. As a kid, I used to go to Mount St. Mary's for piano lessons back in the day on the north end.
Mount St. Mary's in Hooksett?
No, the one on the north end of Manchester, on the top of Elm Street.
Oh, really?
There was a former college there, and it was a Catholic college, and it's behind Elm Street in Carpenter area. It's the Manchester Music School nowadays.
Huh.
I used to take piano lessons with Sister Anita. And my grandmother used to drive me from where I grew up to there, and I got to really like homes and architecture. I went to school in Montreal for economics and then a degree in architecture and design. And then I came back to the States and I worked in residential design. I got into commercial design. And then I transitioned into real estate about 4 years ago. And since then, I love real estate. You can't just love the homes. You can't just love the people with real estate. You have to like the whole combination of things. Which I do enjoy. I enjoy the project management side of things and relationship management.
So you went to college up in Montreal?
Yep. I went to the John Molson School of Business at Concordia, and then the Academy of Design Technology, which was where I got an associate's in design.
Why Canada? There was nothing colleges around here didn't offer what you wanted?
So I guess that's an interesting story. When I was a sophomore in high school, talk about local politics.
Mm-hmm.
That was when the Claremont case was happening.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And
Still is.
I was at Central High School at that point in time, and I was doing well. And my parents I grew up sailing boats, racing small sailboats at Lake Massabesic and throughout New England competitively. And there was a gentleman I met who was from the U.S. Sailing Association. And I had shown some interest in Tabor Academy because they had the Tabor Boy, which is a tall ship they take students out on for a month or 2 at a time. I ended up getting involved with a school called West Island College, which was Montreal-based, and they owned a tall ship called the Concordia, a 180-foot barkentine.
Wow.
And I lived on that for the year. So I had a lot of Canadian friends from there, and I matriculated through the Canadian high school system for my last year and a half of high school. Because when I came back to the States, I only had I did 6 months my senior year at Central, and then I moved to Montreal. And growing up sailing, there was also the Royal Canadian Yacht Club, which is in Montreal, and there was a lot of folks I knew there, and dollar for dollar, it was a 1.6 ratio, so living in Montreal was fairly cheap compared to living in Durham and some of these other towns where the rentals were anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 a month.
So did you have to become a Canadian citizen to go up there? No?
I had a student visa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had the student visa for the 4 years I was there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of French speaking up there? Was it English?
Oh, yes. Well, it's bilingual. You know, it's polite to speak in French, and then typically people will transition to English for you. Most of the locals speak fluent French and English. But I have a pretty good working knowledge of polite French. You know, if you pardon-moi or excuse-moi or how to order at a restaurant in French is kind of where I end.
Because I was always told that Canadian French was different from Parisian French.
It is, but I think it's different in the way that British English is different from American English.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, so I think the colloquialisms are where you get yourself in trouble. So the nuance, the stylized speaking, you know, and I was never very good at writing. I was pretty good at speaking, but I wasn't very good at writing. But you know, I'm sure I haven't been to France in a long time, but I'm sure that if I went there, I could navigate my way through. You know, at least signage and all that stuff.
You've been around a little bit there, bud.
Yeah, I traveled. Yeah, I've been to about 40 countries at this point.
Phew! My gosh. Yeah. And in today's world, I don't think I'd want to go anywhere.
You know, I was lucky. A lot of that was done 12 years ago, 15 years ago. So I was actually, we were supposed to go to Israel, Haifa, and instead we went to Egypt because I was there when the U.S. coal got bombed in the Israeli waters. So the Mediterranean, you know, was quite active, kind of like it is today. But you know, I was talking to somebody about going to Malta next year, which is between Italy and Tunisia, and then literally the next day the terrorism act happened in Nice, France, where the guy ran the people down with the truck. So right now, probably stay off that part of the world, but I think Europe's still very manageable, and you can go there and enjoy yourself. You just have to be careful, because you could say the same thing about New York City or Manchester, right? There is a probability for something everywhere.
I know, but it just seems like, man, that's all you hear. And then I keep thinking back to that poor guy from the Rochester area who was a correspondent on this ISIS bunch. You know, cut his head off or something like that, and it was like, why would anybody want to go over there?
Yeah.
You know, really, I just don't understand it.
I think being cut from the same cloth with real estate, for it to be a realtor, I think you have to be cut from a certain cloth to be that type of person who wants to go out there. You know, I'm not personally interested, but you know, some people love that stuff. You know, so I think there's people who are happy to do that. It is tragic what happened for sure.
Oh yeah, but it's all you hear now. The violence in the United States. It's like, I don't know what the kids coming up in today's world. I really feel sorry for them. I don't know what their future is going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
When you figure of a newborn or even a child up to 10, 15 years old, I mean, what do they have to look forward to?
Well, I'm sure. Hopefully, it doesn't stay. The status quo doesn't stay forever.
I hope not.
You know, but yeah, the child who's under the age of 15, they've only known a couple things, and very different than the way a lot of us have grown up for sure.
Well, all I can say is that it's really definitely this November with elections. It's going to be a very tough time.
Yeah.
And I'll be glad when it's over with. But
a couple more weeks. Not too much longer.
Got the debates going on starting Monday.
Yep.
Yeah, and that'll be one thing. And then November 3rd, or when is the election day? It's right around that time. It'll be over with.
Yeah.
The TV networks can hop on something else.
Well, I think it would be good for the economy as well.
Yeah.
I think there'll be people who feel, I run into folks who don't want to sell their home or they don't want to purchase until after the elections have been decided. It's not as bad now as it was about a year ago. when the primaries were still in the heat, and it was all kinds of moving parts. Now it's an A-B question, or maybe an A-B-C question, but it's not like 10 different candidates who are potentials. It's now, okay, here we have a choice, but I think we'll see people who've been waiting and sitting on the sidelines come back up and want to enter that market. So it's good for. I see it as a good thing. I also see it as there's some potential pent up demand. So hopefully in December and in January we'll see some of that stuff hit.
I mean, I look around my district here, and I'm telling you, it's amazing the number of homes that are up for sale, and it's because either they can't afford the property taxes, or they're either trying to downsize maybe, but I don't see them selling as fast as I don't know what the buyer's market or seller's market is up there right now.
Well, traditionally a seller's market is a home is on the market for 6 months or less, and a buyer's market is for 6 months or more. Concord doesn't sell traditionally at the pace that the southern cities do. Salem, Manchester, Nashua, Wyndham, Pelham, those towns definitely have a fast-moving market. And talking about people who come across the border to purchase homes, there's about a 20% discount if you're willing to drive an extra 5 miles into New Hampshire.
Really?
Oh, from Massachusetts, there's a very large difference in home values and the purchasing of the home. It's a Commonwealth law system, so they purchase homes a little bit differently. And with real estate, it's customary styling that agents work with. So it's customary in Massachusetts to do a letter of intent prior to a purchase and sale. Whereas in New Hampshire, it isn't customary. It's customary to do a purchase and sale with the contingency of inspections and so on moving forward. And also, too, in Massachusetts, we see a lot more being put down on the homes, upwards of 20% initial deposits with escrow with the title companies for closing. Whereas in New Hampshire, we don't see that until a day or two before closing. But Concord is doing well, and I think the homes that are on the market right now are a lot of people who bought their homes 4, 5, and 7 years ago. They were neutral or they were underwater from where they bought it. Maybe not in terms of mortgage, but their homes were valued less than they purchased it for. And now we're seeing homes have come up in value, and at least people can have a lateral movement and walk out of the house whole. And also, too, interest rates are extremely low, so we do see some movement. And location does affect things, and people pricing is really important. We've seen some towns have upwards of annual appreciation of 6 to 8%, which is an unsustainable number. We really want to see it around 4 or 5% annual appreciation at most. But it's allowing these people to get out of the homes, and people also become, I say, gluttonous when they see their neighbor sell for say their neighbor sold for $275, and everybody's home is always the nicest home, or their home is the best home in the neighborhood. So if they sold for $275, we should be able to sell for $295. And we see that in the spring market. The spring market hits, you see a large volume of homes being sold in less than a week. And then, you see the trickle come in with the higher prices, and that slows things down.
Yeah.
But inventory is low as well in certain towns, funny enough.
I watch that Home and Garden Network there sometimes, and I'm telling you, when they have these different, the Property Brothers is one of them. And they go out there, and the houses they look at, and then the price to upgrade them and all that. It's like, who in the world can afford that kind of stuff?
Some of the big towns, but it's funny you say that. There's an outlook or a forecast that's been on the books for a while, where the homes, the higher end homes, the 500 plus homes, $700,000, $800,000, $1 million, $1.5 million homes, in the larger cities are starting to struggle on the West Coast. And that's because they've had the unsustainable growth, and the outlook is that will trickle down in the next anywhere from 18 to 24 months throughout the country. I'm not sure if that's really true, personally. I think that those properties were bought with some larger home products that have been outlawed or taken off the market for the more moderate homes, and now they're suffering through the process, like the standard homes were doing 6 years ago.
Hmm.
And because they were variable rate mortgages, a lot of them, jumbo rates over $420,000. But that's okay. I also think too that the $700,000 buyer can purchase a $250,000 home. The $250,000 buyer can't purchase a $700,000 home. So the more moderate priced homes have a higher percentage of people purchasing them.
Yeah.
So we should continue to see some nice life in those homes as long as they're well priced. And I always say condition kills homes. So keeping your home in condition or in good condition can certainly save it. And the guys on the TV shows, they're in the Property Brothers are in the Toronto marketplace.
I figured that.
So they are in a metropolitan, world class city that has a large population and large income levels. Or more proportionate income levels.
They've also got a place in Las Vegas too.
Oh, really?
And a place in Texas, I know.
I try not to watch them too much.
Well, I don't as much, but there's nothing else on TV. If I'm flicking through, I'll take a look for a minute. And then there's a bunch of other ones on there. It's like, okay, are these all staged? Are these all choreographed?
Oh, I'm sure they are.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Then there's another one with a man and woman that are in competition to see who can sell people these houses or whatever. But
no, I agree. I think it's great for the market where it has people interested in homes, but it's bad for the market too because it's not the proper education on how to purchase a home or how homes are sold. If you want to look at 3 homes with me and buy one of the 3, I'd be happy to be your buyer's agent.
There you go.
But the average statistic, it's usually anywhere from 12 to 16 homes somebody looks at before they purchase a home.
Were homes more expensive in Canada than they are here in Montreal? Or?
I don't really have a reference on that. Back then I wasn't paying attention to that market. Yeah. Montreal as a city is a fairly reasonably priced city. It's not quite as wealthy of a city as Toronto. There are some parts of it that are all $1 million condos for sure. Really? There's the Golden Mile in Montreal, which is a beautiful part of the city. But the other condos are well priced, and they've built a lot of condos there as well. So I think that helps with keeping the average worker in the town versus pushing them outwards. I think in Manchester we'll start seeing a lot more of that happening if now a second large apartment building is being built in the corner of Hanover and Elm, right? The old Citizens Bank.
Oh yeah.
And those are higher end luxury apartments. I hope that as the population, matures or the homes mature, we'll see people who were renting in those units want to buy condos downtown as well, not escape from that inner core. Because the downtown's great. It's kind of like Concord. There's some great walking streets, and if you can still park your car.
I think what a travesty has been recently here in Concord, I know Manchester's had some of this too, but when the church is closed and they put it on the market for whatever, we just had one up by the federal building that was closed by the bishop, and now they're going to convert it into condos. What a travesty. Now if there's a church that looks like a church, this one is.
Yeah.
It was Sacred Heart here in Concord. It was a French church for the French people back years and years and years ago. But the population has dwindled somewhat, and so they decided to sell it. And what a travesty. Just a travesty. Now to drive by there and see it being pulled apart, the stained glass is out of it now. Everything's taken away inside the altar. The pews are gone. Everything is just sad to think that. I don't know. It's not like I don't know. I just think it's terrible.
I think it's a supply and demand question in many ways. There's a church in Manchester on South Beach Street, just by South Willow, that was converted to low-income housing about 10, 15 years ago. It's right near the granite cutter for tombstones, if that's any reference. But it's a nice building. it's being used by a lot larger amount of the community, and they actually preserved the architecture in the church in this specific case.
Yeah.
Do I think it's great that they're pulling down the churches and they're removing the architecture? No. And it's not great for the community, but again, it's part of that natural process and supply and demand, and if they could preserve the architecture, that'd be great. It's like we're always looking for good stewards of properties.
I know in Epping they converted one church into a restaurant over there. I've been there twice, and it just...
Sacrilegious?
Yeah, I just still feel like it's a church.
Yeah.
It still looks like it.
Yeah. But there's a large part of the community that doesn't perceive it as a church.
Yeah.
And not that I agree with them or disagree with them, but that's the marketplace, and it's never great to have a vacant building.
This one here in Concord, Sacred Heart, reminds me of the church in the movie Sister Act.
Okay.
The first one, because it looked just like it. The steeples, everything.
Yeah.
And no matter how much they try to change it, it still has that outside look of a church. But
yeah, it's too bad.
I know Mount St. Mary's, you mentioned that earlier, the college up there in Hooksett. Of course, that now is private.
Correct, yeah.
And I never really saw much of it from up close. We used to drive by it. And I don't think too much now because they tore down the dorms and stuff years ago. But, I suppose they can do wonders with things. But
They preserved, Mount St. Mary's as a condo association has struggled in the past. But they did preserve a lot of the architecture there, the rec spaces and all the big rooms that were original to the building have either been converted into single apartments where they have all this beautiful architecture, or it's made up as their rec room for the association. It's a shared space.
So do you think sometimes, Matt, that it seems like you've been in a lot of things, you think sometimes you're going to go into politics?
Not necessarily.
No?
No, I enjoy being a part of politics in many ways, but my career as a realtor, I have to be cautious about that as well. We want to service blindly everybody is the point, I guess. We want to work with, if you want to look at the consumer side, it's almost working as a lawyer. You get hired by somebody to do something specifically for them, and you act blindly against it because there's a lot of consumer protection that can come in place, and part of that for me is being nonpartisan with the politics. Obviously I have positions and opinions, but I try not to let it affect me too much, my business-wise. But yeah, right now I'm not sure about politics. Eventually you never know.
Yeah. What are your thoughts in the way about this presidential mess coming up?
I'm excited for a decision to be made.
Everybody's tired of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are tired of it. It also creates a conversation at home and at the workplace and with friends that's negative. Right? It's currently specifically it's really negative based. So if everybody's always hearing about these negative things, that's how they speak and that's how they talk, versus changing the conversation about going more positive, which would be really nice, right?
Yeah.
And also somebody stepping up. I think the country needs it. The lame duck president is a leader, but not quite the leader. Is somebody who's newly elected by the populace, the populace vote, we'll say, or the electoral college, right?
Yeah, I know the electoral college.
So, but I think they can stand up as a leader and make a choice or make a decision or show action, and people will follow with it. That's my opinion on that.
So as another young guy, what else is going on in your life? You got some changes coming, I know.
Yeah, I'm engaged. My partner Adam and I get married next year, and we live on a beautiful piece of family land in Manchester. So we're gonna be having a wedding there, and I'm actually at Grant State College finishing my degree in business. So I'm almost done that. I got 4 more classes to go, which is great, and I like it because they're all they're upper level classes, so they're always quite interesting. And it's also nice to see that the New Hampshire educational system or the UNH school system works pretty well. You can go in and finish.
I was thinking Granite State College had been taken, aren't they now part of the university?
They are.
They are.
Yep, they're part of the UNH school system.
I was thinking that they had been absorbed into that because they were separate for a while.
It's great though, because then you have professors who teach in Manchester or Portsmouth are also teaching here in Concord, Plymouth, You know, so you have specialists teaching specialty classes, which I think is the way it should be. It also allows somebody like me a soft entry should I decide to go get a master's in something. It's a soft entry back into the educational system. You know, instead of going to UNH with, 22-year-olds or 19-year-olds, I'm mostly with people who are my age.
How old are you, Matt?
33. 33.
Gosh, you don't look it. You look much younger than that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would have guessed you were probably still in your mid-20s or so.
That's, with the real estate, that's not a pro. That's kind of a negative. I like to, when I first started when I was 29, that was a tough part of it. A lot of people would be like, oh, you're too young. I've been actually told you're too young to sell my house. And obviously those people, you're not going to change their minds, but it's okay to be younger, I guess.
Too young to sell your house. Interesting.
You know.
Why is it? Because obviously you got to do your homework. I mean, yeah, this is like a car salesman, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to look over your product and see, and unless you got a good, what do you call it? There, a good talking there, or a good gift to gab, or a
Good sales pitch.
Well, yeah, I had something else I was going to say, but I won't say it on the air. But anyway, you've got to really snow job them or something.
Yeah. I think on the listing side of working with people, you're taking possession theoretically of their home, and it could be a $500,000 or a $250,000 home. I don't think that's the best way to define who you want to be your realtor. I think there's a lot of other questions you should be asking. What their sales volume is. You should be asking how many listings they sell, where they sell them, and also activities that they do when they sell homes. And there's no reason why you can't actually ask for references from a realtor on properties or clients they've worked with in the past, not just stuff you see on their websites or that they see on Facebook. Because that way you're going to spend on a $300,000 home at a 5% commission. You're going to spend $15,000 to sell your home with someone.
Wow.
Right, and that gets split between the two realtors and the brokers and all that wonderful stuff. But that's where people get cautious or gun shy, and that's respectful. You definitely, but it allows me also the opportunity to show my education, my background by providing good, comparable products and providing a marketing package to that consumer so that they know what they're going to get.
Interesting. Well, Matt, we're coming to a close of Around Town, so it's been a pleasure having you come on and talk about your parts of this real estate world and hearing your travels to Montreal and what's going on with you there. So it's been nice talking to you.
Appreciate your time.
And again, anybody who would like to know what's going on with Around Town, you can go right on to the facebook.com/Concord Speaks. And of course, while you're there, you can click on the like button too. So you'll be able to see yourself on Facebook.
Fantastic.
All my shows, thanks to my super director over there, Ian. He's got them on there. So what are you laughing for? It's true. Yes, that's right. It wasn't for you. I mean, the shows are on there, so he'll have them on within a couple of days. And then they'll be on Channel 22 there, CCTV. And we always also sometimes swap them with Manchester or some other towns. So
Fantastic.
yeah. So with that in mind, we would be thanks again to Ian, and we'll be getting ready for another show and enjoy the weekend. The pre-foliage weather, I guess. It's gonna get cooler, and I'm your host, Dick Patten. Have a great day.